Good afternoon, and welcome to the Friday afternoon's episode of Speaking Out, Exposing Corruption, Incompetence. Friday, thank God it's Friday. Back in the day with Pancho Carew, not 1 o'clock, Best by request, whatever the show today, but I can't remember the name. You always started with that. Thank God it's Friday. Right, so here we are, another Friday, another great day that the Lord has made. Let's rejoice and be glad in it. Let's give praise and thanks for being in the land of the living. It is indeed a privilege to be in the land of the living, and we should never, ever take that for granted. So welcome. I have to always tell you when you come and share the live, man. When you come and share, don't be selfish this Friday afternoon. You sit down, wrong a flatty, or you sit down, taking a little toops, or something like that, or you're going home from work, you are preparing for a weekend. I get paid yet in Guyana. I know salaries paid for the public servants. I know you're looking forward because Christmas around the corner. Christmas is around the corner. When I was a little primary school boy, the other poem, Christmas is coming, the geese is getting fat. Please put a penny in the old man hat. If you don't have a penny, a cent will do. And if you don't have a cent, then God bless you. People looking forward. Hey, people looking forward. So yes, here we are this Friday afternoon. Share the live. Let them know that we are on. My colleague is waiting patiently to interact with you. So let me get it on. Let's share. The doors were open at school gates. Rather, were open at 2 o'clock this afternoon. When the program was scheduled, let me tell you this, full disclosure. Friday afternoon we scheduled at 2 for 2 hours before, and then 4. I am not going to be yet, but when I scheduled the thing, I scheduled for 11 o'clock, and there was a wrong. No, that was before I actually went live. Then I checked myself, so shucks, today is Friday, it's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, 5 o'clock in Guyana. So I had to make the adjustment. So here we are. How do we make mistake, man? As I always said over and over. But luckily I caught the mistake before the program went live. So immediately there, we have a lot of people came in. Look who is here for us this afternoon, as we recognize those early students. Mr. Ian Lucius is here, first man listed at 2 o'clock. And then he was followed by Derek and Felicia. Then it was Wayne from the UK, Paulette. Then Raul is here, Marcia, Puran from the Essequibo Coast, Doreen, my squad mate out of Canada, Gibbo, Sean from upstate New York. They all came at precisely 2. And then shortly after, you had Brian, Kerry, Peter, Evelyn, Donna, Paulette. Then it was this name, Joan from New Amsterdam, Joy, Gavin, Jakey is here very early, Vashti, Lorraine is here. Then we had Terrence, and then a lot of people came in. Many came in thereafter. And then when we opened the doors, then we checked to see who was the first in the class. So there's a big competition here to see who's going to be first there. So when we opened the school doors, we had some people. Who was the first person in? Oh, my boy, man. My boy, Edward Charles. He said he at work, but nevertheless, he's able to be here very early. Yolanda is here with us. And Yolanda said, I got a lot of suits, you see. She said, she see me wearing different suits and so on. Yes, I get enough suit. Long ago, when you wore suit frequently, them big men used to call you Jacket Walla. Who know what Jacket Walla? The older folks. Is a man used to wear jacket. They used to call it Jacket Walla. So don't call me that. Don't take your eyes and pass me and call me Jacket Walla. Well, I get enough suits indeed. Raquel is here. Then we had Junior. And then it was Sister Trifosa is in the house, Claire. And the list goes on and on and on. The list goes on. So yeah, welcome again. Share the live. And let me move into the announcements. Then we're going to go straight into the program. As usual, we start with the sad ones first. And I need to remind you, too, that today is 616 days since Sergeant Alex Vaughan. Last time I make a mistake, I said Lindo, and immediately The students correcting me, man. I love it. I love it. It shows they're paying attention. Sergeant Alex Vaughn was killed, shot, and killed on the 12th of March, 2024. Initial report tell you what happened, and thereafter nothing. 616 days and counting. 616 days. We told you of the death of the sister of retired Assistant Commissioner Gavin Primo. Her name was Carol Langford, and she is going to be. There's going to be a service tomorrow, viewing from 4 to 6:30 at Caribe Funeral Home on Utica Avenue. And they say service is from viewing from 6 to 6:30. The service is from 6:30 to 8, right? And that is located at 1922 Utica Avenue, Brooklyn, New York. Then we haven't gotten any further information on the death of woman Sergeant Blair. But we did tell you about the death of Inspector Shoring Arlington Dotson. And to remind you that there's going to be a night of reflection on Monday. That's Monday coming the 24th from 18 hours at the Heavenly Light World Outreach Fellowship, 150 Cooper Street, Albistown. And the funeral is going to be Wednesday the 26th. Viewing from 10 to 11 at Sandy's Funeral Home. Church viewing from 12, followed by the service. And then I learned yesterday of the death of a friend. Many of you might not know him. Some of you may. He was an engineer in Guyana. My good friend, Owen Edwards. Owen passed away yesterday. And then, like everything else, hardly a day. And look, I don't want to take this light, but almost every day, every program day, we've got to bring you some tragic news about somebody who died. And I saw last night a video sent to me. Some boy, a little boy. He looked like he more than about 3-4 years, I think. They fish out of a trench, and the persons running him across the road and no way they were taking him, maybe to go and get medical attention. But I got to talk something more about this immediate treatment of victims. I'm going to talk about it a little while. And then this afternoon, around this morning, I think it was, they're reporting about the death of, and there, some social media, one of these social media call themselves news people. They always write a lot of craziness. So the headline says that death alert, teen drunk, you said drunk, at Golden Fleece. Golden Fleece is on the Essequibo coast. Hear what it says. Police are investigating the heartbreaking death. They said teen, teen drunk, but they say police are investigating the heartbreaking death of 12-year-old Samit Singh, whose body was found early this morning on the Golden Fleece beach. Samit, a student of Joanna Cecilia Secondary and a resident of Golden Fleece, was reported missing yesterday afternoon. Yesterday after he left home around 4 p.m. and never returned. Relatives and villagers spent the entire night searching, but the search ended tragically around 8 a.m. today when his body was discovered along the shoreline. He was taken to the Surrey Public Hospital where he was pronounced dead. His body is now at the hospital mortuary awaiting a postmortem. Police investigations are ongoing. They said, may your soul rest in peace and so on. Well, okay, listeners, they talk about a teen drunk, and then in the article, they're 12-year-old. So you have a 12-year-old teen now. So, I want to, again, express condolences, as we normally do, to all the relatives and friends of this thing. That little boy, I haven't seen any story on it on the mainstream or any social media post, but I see the man holding him up and running from the trench. There's a trench there, and many others were around, and they're running with him, taking him. I don't know where they were taking him, but sad. Couldn't be more than about 4 or something like that. Big trench, and he seems to have died. Saw something say he died. He drowned in the trench. Sad. This is about it within the past 2-3 weeks. This is about the third or fourth. Well, when we come to the 12-year-old, it's about 5 persons. 5 persons have died under those circumstances. 5. Sad. We had one last week. I think it was a 1 year, 9 months. 1 year, 9 months. Then we had the one on Morocco, 3 years or something like that. So sad. Something is definitely wrong. Let me do the birthday greetings, and then I'm going to the more pleasant announcements. Um, we have a dedicated student whose birthday is today, Mr. Travis Douglas. Travis Douglas is the no, they said they got golden fleece too. Desiree, they got a golden fleece too at Essequibo Coast. But they say according to the article, they say that he's a that's something called it Joanna Cecilia. And if it's Joanna Cecilia, you gotta be Essequibo Coast. Because there's also, I know what you're saying, there's a golden fleece West Coast Barbies, but you know, we got different villages with different names. They got Grove on the East Bank, Grove on the East Coast. So yeah, there's a golden fleece on the Essequibo Coast as well. And the fact that they're saying that he attends the JC school suggests that is the Essequibo Coast. Yeah. So we boarding greetings, as I said, Travis Douglas, a student. What he told is a dedicated student. So he's observing a natal day today. In terms of the birthdays that are coming up shortly, retired woman detective Sergeant Bernadette Ralph. Bernadette number was W210. She's going to be celebrating a birthday or a birth anniversary shortly. We also have a very good friend and loyal student, Desmond Helwig, Porcy. Well, it's not Porcy the chick. You know, those of you who read was West Indian Reader, whoever book number 1 or 2 or 3, they had Porcy the chick. In that book was known as Porcy. So this is not the one I'm talking about. This is a friend of mine, Porcy Desmond Helwig. We call him Porcy. He's going to be celebrating tomorrow. Another student. There's a man who promised to give me feather to deal with that lump, right? He is, I'm talking about Lyndon Drakes. Lyndon Drakes is going to be observing shortly as well. And also, we have, a former soldier for a friend too. I saw him a couple of times recently. Dennis Hewitt, cricketer, former Guyana cricketer, and so on. He is going to be celebrating. He was a member of the GDF Intelligence Corps. And not according to somebody talk about corps, intelligent corps. He is going to be celebrating shortly. So I want to take this opportunity to wish all those who celebrating today, who celebrated recently, and who are celebrating in the near future, all the best on your natal day. Wish you all the best, and that you get all that you wish yourself. Let me bring in CC, and then we are going to come back with a little bit more announcements, and then we're going to go into the meat of the matters. CC, welcome. Hope you had a pleasant night.
Very pleasant night. I spent a lot of time watching the cricket, Australia and England. And I always like England when England get, certain people leading them, whether it's a batsman, bowler, or fielder, and very interesting. I think it's much 18 wickets on the first day at Port. My God. Anyway, I'm happy to be in the land of the living, although I had enough rest last night, but I'll catch up tonight, hopefully. And then I went into a building today, and I heard speaking out, CC. And when I watched, there was a beautiful woman, elderly woman, and she shouted out to me. She had another person with her there. She had a female with her too. And they are both students, And Paula said to tell you hello. And the first one, her name was Dawn. I think she's from Alexander Village. And then I went in at a certain institution, and 3 men called me out. Larry John, he says he's a plumber, and he says he's a countryman. He's from BV, Paul. And another guy is Sarju and Linden Boston. And we had a wonderful discussion, and the confabulation was great. So let me shout out to Don and our partner, to Larry John, to Sarju, and to Linden Boston. They are all students of speaking out, exposing corruption and incompetence.
Yeah. Welcome, my brother. Welcome. Last night I knew I would have suffered today because I watched the cricket too, 19 wickets fell on the first day of that Ashes Test match. 19 wickets. I'm going to talk a little bit more about it in a short while. But I also want to shout out my students from St. Vincent and the Grenadines. They're there and they gathered early. They gathered early to make sure that they air the program. Guyanese and others. They say not only Guyanese, but St. Vincentian as well are part of the group listening to this program. I wanted a student, when I talk about Port City Chick, Mitch told me that we had a Port City Chick in BV2. That was a famous Port City Chick. I remember the incident. I don't know if Franco, you remember that? He and Comabadge had a story. And then the story goes that them men used to play little rap in Porcy Bachi. And then Porcy, as the owner of the Bachi, like he get several packs of the same cards. So at one stage, Porcy get up during a game and make a turn and come back. When he come back, Porcy come down, Romy. But when Porcy come down, Romy, with the club suit, come on realize that he gets some of the same cards in his hand. So Porcy, I said, come on, say, but Porcy uses so-and-so cheap bow one box from Porcy. But it was always rumored that Porcy got a shotgun. So Porcy ran towards his bedroom and Como ran towards the road. So they said when Como got to break by Hendrick Street, Porcy come out now with a shotgun with a broom and point the broom. Como glance back and see this thing raise up, assuming it's a shotgun. They said when he banged the turn in the long boots, you see smoke, man, smoke. Como, that was the thing. I remember Porcy very well. Porcy, the chick from BP, man. That was our people. So this is one of the lighter things we got to tell. But 19 wickets, on the first day. Before I go to that, let me remind you of Hurricane Melissa. Those of you who are in a position to contribute to our brothers and sisters in Jamaica, please do so. And I want to shout out to our Jamaican students too, who listen, Dudley and others, they listen to this program every day, every program day. And then to remind you, I'm going to read something about that in a short while, but this is still Diabetes Awareness Month. I saw a troubling report yesterday, which I thought I'd bring to your attention. And I want to, we missed this a while ago, but congratulations, we're not late because I think the thing is still going on. Congratulations to all persons who graduated from the University of Guyana. Special congratulations to members of the Guyana Police Force, especially to the Michael and his wife, the Seeleys. Michael, what the wife name? Can't remember the wife. Shireen. Michael, I think he's a sergeant, and his wife. They both graduated at the same time, and they had Thursday there was a big ceremony, I understand. But I was disappointed because when I was reading the thing this morning, I noted, I think it's in today's Tablet News, President giving speech and so on. But then as you read further, you learn that the president, it was a taped video, it was a video recorded speech. It wasn't there live. I said, but what a thing. President had time to go and cook up rice in Albaistong and play domino. Over the past few days, I understand he's on quarantine where there's a cabinet outreach. Cook up rice and sharing food up there. But at an important occasion, like the graduation of all those hundreds or thousands of students, he can't go. I suspect that if they were graduating from the University of IFLUC or UTFLUC, he might have been there. But, that's the type of thing. It's priority, It's the type of priority, how you prioritize your activities. Because as a president, you're going to be a very busy man. You're going to be in demand all over the place. But I guess I think that you got to sit, or your advisors got to tell you what are the important functions that you have to go in person. But obviously, this graduation there wasn't one of those functions. And then I want to congratulate a friend of mine, even though I don't agree with the politics. When I say politics, not the local politics. I'm telling you plain, and I might have never told him this before. I'm referring to Malcolm Harry Paul. Malcolm Harry-Paul. Malcolm Harry-Paul was charged sometime, I think, in November 2023 with what the offense they say? They say inciting racial hostilities. Right? He went on social media and he made a post and he was saying he was a soldier. In case you all don't know Malcolm's background, Malcolm was a soldier. Diehard PPP back in Chenny Jagan's days. Diehard PPP. He wrote under the pen name M.H. Paul, almost back in them days, almost every day attacking the PNC and all them. Well, at some stage he realized what the PPP was all about, and he jumped ship, right? So he made this comment on social media when the Venezuelan thing was kicking up about 2 years ago, when they had this accord and all this type of thing, and he made what some people consider a very valid point, because he said words to the effect that the military is dominated by one particular ethnic group, which we all know to be true, and the other ethnic group, they don't get involved, and therefore he said, well, they must go and fight too, and he made some comment to that of that nature on social media. They said, based on what he said, there is inciting racial hostility, and he was all before the court. And I know he was very, very frustrated with the delay and the running, but today he was finally vindicated. The matter was dismissed. Today, the matter was dismissed. So congratulations to you, Malcolm. I know you had your concerns and so on, but at the end of the day, victory is yours. Wicked people, right? Wicked. Yeah, I know Malcolm. I mean, Malcolm does boast that back in the day when Slow and his falling plate team used to be so dominant in the joint services shooting competitions, he claimed that on one occasion, I can't remember the occasion, but he said one occasion his team defeated my team. So it was such a monumentous occasion for him that he remembered. I couldn't remember it because it was a rare thing. Now there couldn't be two at all. The best thing ever shooting, the best team, the police, TSU mainly, falling plate team. When they invited us to go and to take part in their annual All Arms or whatever they call it competition, we went there and we dominated. We took part at one stage, we took part in everything, and we dominated. So much so that they had Norman McLean was the chief of staff, and apparently had some argument or some debate as to who was the best pistol shot around. And Norman, the chief of staff of the Guyana Defense Force, a former police, said that nobody can beat Paul Slow. The soldiers, the senior soldiers, had a guard Angai, right, as the best shot. So you know what they did? They organized a special competition between Slow and Angai at Timiri. Special. The two of we tear off. And needless to say, Slow emerged as the champion. Yeah, Bray, they got no freedom of speech in Guyana. It all depends on who talk. It all depends on who are the positive of alleged to say certain things. So again, congratulations to Malcolm. But you gotta be careful because they're gonna come after you again, you know. They're gonna come after you again. That is how they're wicked and vindictive, right? They're wicked, stink, and dirty, and they're gonna come after you. They're gonna satisfy. For all you know, very soon, very shortly, you're gonna hear them abusing out the magistrate, because that seems to be the trend now. When a decision goes against the government, the president, the vice president, the attorney general, all them, they jump on the platform and they call out these people. You know, hold back now, you know. Call out. So right now, they're calling out Judy Latchman because she granted the Mohammeds bail. They're calling out Gino Prasad because he ruled in favor of the Mohammeds in the tax case. And they're calling out everybody once they rule against them, everybody. They accused rapists had called out the chancellor, then acting chancellor, said that she should be defrocked because they gave a decision that wasn't in favor of the PPP. That is what they are. But let me move on a little. Let me have a public service announcement to make, man. Let me see if I could find it. Yeah, here it is. I noted today the police, the Guyana Police Force, right? They have what they call safety focus. They must watch how they're using that word focus. That is a story about focus which I can't tell you, and with two nuns and how they was pronounced focus. Right? So here they say, and this is something good. And this is something that we have been saying. They say on safety focus, keep doors closed. Always lock your car doors, even if you're stepping away for just a minute. It only takes a minute for an incident to occur. Protect and serve. Abstract, protect and serve. Very brief. And I compliment them for that. But they should do that as a it should be almost every day, right? And not only in terms of lock your car doors and so on. So something similar in relation to accidents and driving on the road. I've been saying that all along. Public announcements, infomercials on the TV and on the radio, on social media. That is what they got to do as part of the plan to attack this craziness that is going on the road. I'm talking before bringing CC, talking about at the time of Malcolm and freedom of expression. They I saw on social media a woman of what is the correct thing now? Indian descent. She on social media accusing a certain minister of the government of being involved in the recent terrorist attack at the gas station. She called by name, and she thinking, well, then I saw a post shortly after. He complained, and then shortly after, she arrested. Make a sport. When they come to the, them thing and certain people, police does be are their most efficient. They're most efficient. So she's arrested. And very soon, very shortly, I am sure if she ain't got already, before the court. God, they're going to keep she there, no bail from the police, and then straight before the court. And let me say this. Many people abuse social media. They go and they make all type of outrageous statements and so on. But we got to understand what is freedom of speech, and we got to understand where it crosses with criminal liability. Right? Many of these things were the table of cybercrime. That was cybercrime. The offending party should bring civil lawsuit against the persons. Somebody come and they defame you, or you're liable in some form, carry them to court. But no, they're weaponizing the Cybercrime Act. That same act that Anil Nandlal, SC, MP, said some time ago was to be repealed and replaced. There's over 2 years now. They haven't done anything about it, except to weaponize it against persons who speak out against certain government persons or people who are aligned to the government. That is what they do. So this woman then finds herself very soon, very shortly, in front of the court. If she look sharp, she got in front of the rank by shit is remand. Right? Can't remember the Skello get remand for blasphemous libel or something like that. Remand. Remember they do with the nurse from Linden, who somebody leaked some conversation where she claimed that she had something to do or she saw what took place in the Adriana Young's postmortem. Remand. That is what happens. That is what happens. That is what goes on. Let me bring in CC, and then we're going to move on. I tell you, as I told you with this child's death, I want to make some comment on what I saw there, and then we're going to move on. CC?
Yeah, I forgot to mention on Wednesday, there was a birthday. Police Sergeant Harry Remar, she was one who was put her in a vehicle and escorted her to a what she call a tribal union. You know that unconstitutional tribunal that they set up there to convict Brutus. Very unconstitutional, where they breached the constitution, and she had to encourage her to testify. So it was her birthday on Wednesday, and I forgot to wish her a happy birthday. So Sergeant Harry, happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. And I hope that you don't have another tribal union to go through. Yeah, yeah, Paul, and they weaponizing this act, you know. Since you open up your mouth, so they want to put you before the court. And I agree with you. Let people file civil action against persons who they feel defame them, you know, in publicly. File criminal proceedings. And I remember clearly the Attorney General saying that the act that the PPP and the app you put in the place that he's going to repeal it is draconian and all sort of he said they saw for 5 years it's still there and they going into months now and it's still there and there's no indication that they're going to repeal it and come up with a better act. But what they're doing, they are weaponizing it. And I wouldn't be surprised, you know, because the statement that the woman made, I'm not going into the pros and cons of the statement that she made. But shortly after, I passed and I saw a vehicle that looking very much like the minister vehicle at CID headquarters. So watch out. They're going to arrest the woman and put you in front of the court.
Yeah, but you know, a lot. One of the students saying nothing gonna happen of that from the matter. Nothing likely to happen. She might get a warning because they're saying that she is the sister of someone who is well connected to the PPP, one of the PPP's financiers. So let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. That is what a student just said, right? The student just said so. I don't know our relationships, but that is what a student say. And I get bright students. If they say so, let's watch and see what is going to happen, if anything at all. Let me see. Now, I mentioned earlier these drowndings, and I saw last evening this child. Obviously, we didn't see from the beginning, but you saw this young man running with the child. Obviously, it looked like they're going to seek some type of attention. You know, it occurred to me then that maybe many people, including policemen, are lacking in first aid treatment. They are lacking in first aid. When I was a trainee in the police training school, we had to do first aid. And when I left the training school, I became a first aid instructor. Basic things like wounds and fractures, to identify them, how to treat them, burns. And we learned that in the police training school. And from that learning, I recognize that many times when you have an accident, people might want to intervene to remove the victims and all this everything. But that, if you're not properly trained, can lead to the injury becoming even worse. Hold on, some people telling me, especially on think people said on YouTube, there is no song. I suggest Noel and others just reboot, log out and log back in, because I have no other complaint and I can see that my mic is working perfectly. So I would recommend to those, of course, if you ain't got no song, let me hear what I'm saying, but maybe somebody can communicate with them to let them know that it's a problem at their end, not at our end. Yeah, first aid treatment is first aid training is very, very important. Very, especially my training says when you have accidents. You have accidents, somebody might have a spinal injury. If you don't handle them with care, you can make matters worse. You can make matters worse. So it calls for training. And when I looked at that child, they pulled the child out of the water, and it was obvious that the people them that meant well, but because of lack of training, I don't think anybody made any attempt to pump this water out of the child's lungs and all of that. That is one of the things. Pump it out of the lungs, render artificial resuscitation, mouth to mouth or otherwise, and you might succeed in saving the life, especially if the person is recovered shortly after going underwater. But again, lack of training. And I say this too because back in the day, as I've said, we were trained in first aid. The Red Cross, St. John's ambulance rather, right across in Cowan Street used to train and all this. Everything. Have to have that training as police officers. So we had what we call the Smelly Cup competition every year, all the divisions and branches. First aid competition to see how well we learn first aid and so on. I used to lead the TSU first aid team, and you used to get a little stipend at the end of the year. Once you're first aider, you get a little something. That's just something them there is $1 and something cents, and so big money, big money. So it is important. It is important. You have the Smelly Cup. I'm sure CC can recall that. You had, like, for example, annual drill competition to talk about deportment and present yourself in a particular manner. First aid to make sure that if you arrive at a scene, you can treat, assist with render first aid to the people. But I see what I'm thinking now is flavor the dance, duck curry competition, and all sort of thing, cook-up competition, not the things that are important to a policeman in terms of how you respond to the public and so on. Not that. So they talk about the duck curry competition, cook-up competition, flavor the dance competition, and those type of things. But if you want to build a professional police force, you have got to, things like first aid, police must know first aid. You're not a doctor, but you should know the basics. So if you arrive at a scene, you got to call, you go to a scene. You see somebody choking or something like that, you know how to treat with it. You go, somebody get burned, you know how to treat with burn. And in the patrol vehicles, you have to have first aid kit and all of those things with people who are trained to use it. So, new minister, maybe you will ask them about the Smelly Cup. That is what is the Smelly Cup. That was big rivalry in the force, training school, quartermaster store, TSU, traffic. Look, we used to, look. And you know, it used to happen, I remember well, because all the bandages and the splints were kept at the quartermaster store. The first aid books were the quartermaster store. The competition used to be held at the TSU in the back where the billiard table was, elimination. And then on the big day on the TSU square. What you saw, because of the rivalry, quartermaster store used to try for jokery. So when they go for splints and you went there for bandages and books, they were always limited, especially splints and bandages. They don't want to forgive you. They tell you all sort of things. So you say, all right, TSU is TSU. So when the competition came to the TSU, the final and so on, we used to lock off the bandages and lock off some splints. So we always had bandages and splints at the TSU. When it comes to the drill competition, the annual police drill competition started when I was the officer in charge of the TSU. I am the person who put that together, silent drill competition. And the first year we put the competition together, they brought a squad from Borbees, College of Borbees, boss the TSU tail. I was on leave at the time. Robbie was holding on for me. They boss the tail. And then we recognized what happened. It's supposed to be a silent drill, right? But you just get somebody within giving you the signal. Tell you, when I get it, that means it was torn. That's to execute the next move. Execute. And then TSU pick up on that. So when they came back the next year, TSU down there, you know, then by prepare for them. They send somebody in at force control. TSU rank at force control down at the bottom there. And when the squad, they're wrong there, then by giving their own, you see confusion in the place, them are confusion. No tricks, no living, control. Yeah, but seriously, those competitions need to be reintroduced into the police force, especially for a state competition. They need to reintroduce it. Let me bring in CC. CC, go ahead.
I have fond memories of the drill competition and the first aid competition, the Smelly Cup. And as you mentioned, Paul, if you turn up at the scene, if you're not properly trained, don't do anything because it might do more harm than good. But some basic things, you know, that you need to know. And I remember this smelly cup where I had a team of recruits, and the recruits won the competition. And Larry Lewis promoted one of the recruits, the best first aider. He had 6 months of service, and he made him a lance corporal. So I said, so a commissioner is a recruit you promoted, Harry. I'm not taking back the stripe. You as a training man will design a training program for its development. That's and come back to me next week with your program. And that was it. I think the guy, the name was Casimiro. As yeah, I think you need the name Casimiro. So the drill competition. Let me talk about the drill competition because I was the commander for the Felix Austin Police College B Division when we came to town. For the matter, Larry Lewis, when he saw my men drilling at that bench, he said, "Hey, to Glasgow." He said, "I want a drill competition. Tell Parslow and them I want a drill competition." And I took my men there and they won the competition. And the next year, I'm not making an excuse, I went to Jamaica. I spent 18 weeks in Jamaica, and during the same time, it was a drill competition. And we lost the competition. Paul did all of the tricks, and TSU won that competition. So I have very fond memories of the Smelly Cup and the drill competition.
No tricks, no living, man. No tricks, no living. Can't come in my house and beat me. So my plan for the Bobby people to come the next time around. Say, all right, are you signal? Psst, psst. We gonna give some signals too. And was confusion in the house. Now let me move on. We have been reminding you that November month is Diabetes Awareness Month. Yeah, share the live. Share. Diabetes Awareness Month. And again, we ask you to make sure that you keep check on your health. Now, I read yesterday they say Guyanese on dialysis for kidney disease increased from 63 to 600 in the last 5 years. That's what a study finds. From 63 to 600. The article says there's a growing trend of chronic kidney disease in Guyana that is keeping health officials on their toes, as more than 500 new patients were put on dialysis over the last 5 years alone. Chairman of the Guyana Human Organ and Tissue Transplant Agency, Dr. Shanti Singh Anthony, said, announcing the finding of a recent study conducted by the Agency of Chronic Kidney Disease. Dr. Anthony said from 2020 to present, cases of chronic kidney disease in Guyana rose sharply. In 2020, this is a quote, in 2020, there were 63 persons receiving dialysis in the country. In 2021, that number doubled to 129 persons. In 2022, 326 persons. In 2023, 428. In 2024, 556. And so far, in 2024, 556 persons, and as of yesterday, 2025, more than 600 people, Dr. Singh stated. Diabetes has been highlighted as a main cause of the chronic kidney disease. Let me repeat that. They say that diabetes has been highlighted as the main cause of the chronic kidney disease, while other factors, including smoking, elevated blood pressure, and not meeting the World Health Organization's threshold for daily physical activities are also contributing. Dr. Singh told the forum that 67% of the population that were surveyed had one or two risk factors, and 33% of those persons had 3 to 5 risk factors, which means that the risk of chronic kidney disease is significant. The number of people that are being placed on dialysis and are being diagnosed with chronic kidney disease is on the rise, and you can see that from the number and hence the increase in patients on dialysis. Meanwhile, CEO of the Human Organ and Tissue Transplant Agency, Dr. Gordon, said the survey was done to better understand both patients and caregivers of chronic kidney disease and hope that the findings will help not only in decision making of patients but prevention as well. The findings and recommendations we hope will inform out every effort to improve patients' care and education and support, as well as our strategies to promote kidney transplantation and organ donation here in Guyana. Then she said the study entitled the Silent Epidemic Underscoring Chronic Kidney Disease and Hemodialysis. It will now guide the work of the Organ Transplant Agency on the allocation of resources and attention to deal with chronic kidney disease. So it's a serious thing, you know. That is why there's somebody saying, Umi, you got to drink a lot of water and so on. Yeah, drink water. Keep yourself hydrated. Keep yourself hydrated. And many of us don't, including me. You got to make sure. So it is important enough, as we indicated earlier, this is Diabetes Awareness Month. And when I saw this article, I thought it important enough to come and educate our students about it. Educate the students. Take care of your health. They're saying that diabetes is one of the main cause of people having to go on dialysis. I'm not going to go in with dialysis. Basically, as I said, once you're on it, that's it. You have to take it at sometime once, sometime twice, sometime depending on the severity of the illness or the kidney problem. So look after yourself, yeah? Look after yourself. Let me I think CC get knocked out of the thing here. You get knocked out. So I don't know if you get blackout or what, but look after yourself, right? Look after yourselves. We plead with you on this program. See, this program is to give information, we educate, and when you see these things, because many of you, I'm sure, would not have seen it. So we thought it important to bring it to your attention. Look at your health. Don't wait to talk about high blood pressure and other contributory factors. So look at yourself carefully. You are primarily responsible for your health. They said the risk factors, including smoking, elevated blood pressure, and not meeting the World Health Organization's threshold for physical activities. Very, very important. Very, very important. Let me bring in CC and then we're going to move on. CC, sorry, we're knocked out. So, yeah. Go
Well,
ahead. Go ahead.
I wish to join with you, is that we need to look at our health. And three main things, you look at your blood pressure, diabetic, and you look at your cholesterol. Don't be afraid. Go to a clinic. They get plenty health center all over the place. Excellent service. Go to a clinic. Get your checkup. Check. Don't say you're waiting until you get broken before you check. Go and check, and you will prevent things. Go to a clinic and make sure you look what you eat and a bit of exercise. 15 minutes of brisk walking 4 to 5 times a week can assist you, and then later on you will increase it. So I'm saying, look at your pressure, look at your diabetes, look at your cholesterol, and I say, go to a health center. Go, go and see a doctor. Join a health center. Don't worry, people say, oh, he's a sick man. Every 3 months you got to go to hospital. You're saving yourself, you're saving your life, and maybe you're making your family more secure. Because when you gone your way, they suffering. So I'm saying, look at your health, as you said, Paul.
Yeah. And when we talk about exercise, we not talk about elbow bending, Some of you, your exercise is limited to elbow bending. You're bending and you're drinking all the time. If you're going to drink water. Drink water, hydrate to keep yourself hydrated. Now, let me move on. Recently we reported that the The murder charge against the policeman Christophe de Nabriga, who was charged with the murder of Quindan Bacchus, matter was dismissed. The matter was dismissed. One of the questions we asked, and I ain't hearing no answer yet, what is the position with the Nabriga? Let me refresh you that once he was charged on July 5, 2022, he, along with two others, right, Damian McLennan and Simon Thurston Simon, he was charged with murder, the other two with perverting the course of justice. We have the ridiculous situation in Guyana where the murder charge went through a preliminary inquiry, a PI, the magistrate, went to the High Court before a judge and jury, and is completed, dismissal. And the two lesser charges before the magistrate court can't done yet. I understand those guys that would have appeared over 30-something times, and it can't done. That is most, well, not only unfortunate, it is ridiculous. And what should be the way forward? The way forward should be if we had a decent operating system. First of all, it would not have taken so long. But it's to discontinue those matters. Because the main charge of murder was tried and dismissed on a no-case submission. So tell me how you're going to succeed with the two lesser charges. Continue to waste time, waste the court's time and taxpayers' money. But again, that is what we have. So people ask me the question about reinstatement of this man. Now, let me address that. Because remember, when they were charged, when the Nabriga was charged, he was not interdicted as is the requirement. He was not interdicted. He was not offered the presumption of innocence guaranteed by the Constitution. Ikin, who was the acting commissioner then, the squatter, dismissed he and the others. Dismiss. So now that he has been successful in the case, the question of reinstatement, of course, is a question to be asked. But where are you going to reinstate him from if you're going to reinstate? Because if he was interdicted as he should have been, then you reinstate him from the date he was interdicted, which would have been the date he appeared in court on the 5th of July, 2022. But between July 2022 and the date up to when, if you're going to reinstate, be a civilian. Yeah, there are provisions for him to be reinstated, but I hope the people realize, and here, let me tell you plain, I just talk what the rules are. This is not me, doesn't mean I'm supporting anybody. But if you're going to reinstate him, I hope that he's reinstated from the 5th of July 2022 when he was unlawfully terminated. I hope so. Because they're hearing all sort of things. They're hearing the big ones them. Calling and telling him since he been in jail. Because the people who were there and who were also shooting at this man, not much happened to them. As a matter of fact, all of them were promoted. All of them. Especially those of a particular ethnic group. They were all promoted. So we had that. Now, if you recall, the family of the deceased Bacchus sued the state, wrongful death. Rightly so, they sued the state. The judge awarded damages to the tune of $20-something million to the estate of the deceased. The Attorney General came and said he appealing because, and I should have said, the state, the government admitted wrongdoing on the part of the police. They admitted that the policeman or the policeman was wrong to kill Bacchus. Yet still, when the damages were awarded, that's how they're going to appeal, right? So they believe, and the argument was that the amount of damages was too high. So $34 million for the life of a young man is too much money. That is basically what they said. But as I said in a previous program, luckily, it was a stroke of luck for the Bacchus estate that this thing was happening into the election season. So the president and them called and said, no, 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 we are not appealing, we can pay the money. We're not appealing, we can pay. They are politicking. They said they're going to pay. So it would appear as though the money was paid. Now, I've been reading social media since last night, and I realized that there's some problem with the child mother, Bacchus's child mother, because Bacchus are the son with a individual. I think she had been in Barbados somewhere. So, when money is around, you just get problem. She writes something about the money and thing, and she wanted this for her son and all of that. So today, there was a response from someone who claims to be the mother of Bacchus. And during the course of that response, she claimed they get it 24 million, but she had to pay the lawyer 30%. She said she put some in a fixed deposit for the son, so that when he reaches the age of 18, he can get this money, and they make a monthly contribution to the upkeep of the child. They're alleging that apparently did not satisfy the mother of the child. She wanted a lump sum, and they decide, no, they're going to give. By lo and behold, this afternoon, live in Guyana. Live in Guyana. Let me read what the Live in Guyana said on social media. And let me tell you something about Live in Guyana before I read the thing. Live in Guyana is alleged to be controlled by that PPP pedophile. You know the one where they begged Julius for that teenage boy to have a sexual relationship with him, who was caught on caught crying. Oh, Julius. Oh, Julius. Same one. The same one who was accused of being a part, he was charged, not only accused, of throwing shit on Freddie Kissoon. You know that delayed action shit? Because it would appear as though the time when it was thrown on him, nothing happened immediately apart from he smelling more stink and so on. But then, given his action, subsequent action, his recent action, people say that the shit has had a delayed effect affecting the brain. That is what they said, right? That same one. The same one who was arrested and questioned in the murder of Courtney Crummy Wing. That same one. The same one who was convicted for assault. I think he assaulted Bench Cap or somebody. Same one. That same big mouth pedophile. Right? They say that he controls Live in Guyana. So Live in Guyana wrote a post. They say, I'm going to try to read it because some of the things cut out. They say when it appears, let me try to make out. When it appears, all a while for me, the thing a little hard to read. They say when it appears that fighting for the rights of Afro-Guyanese isn't cheap. No, well, it appears. Well, not when. Well, it appears that fighting for the rights of Afro-Guyanese isn't cheap. Even those who are supposedly oppressed have to pay the legal representatives and political leaders fighting their cause. And this likely explains why APNU MP and attorney at law Dexter Todd took $7 million from the for himself out of the $24 million settlement awarded by the court to the mother of Quindon Bacchus. These humanitarian causes aren't free. Now, let me say a full disclosure. I know Dexter Todd personally. Dexter Todd is representing me in one of the cases before the court. But that will not influence what I have to say. These vile and dirty people. So they're attacking Dexter Todd. The estate was awarded $24.5 million, right? The mother of Bacchus, the deceased, said, well, she had to pay 30% of that to the lawyer. And they're attacking him. So basically, they say he should have been free and all of that. They're attacking him. And I'm saying, look, as a lot of people said in the comments, very standard fare when you have these matters. Standard. Not only in Guyana. You go in the States, they just tell you get any accident or so, you call, and if you ain't get paid, they don't get paid. That is normally the arrangement, right? They take the case and they fight on your behalf. And if you win, then an agreed percentage is given as lawyer fee. That is standard arrangement all over. But this vile people, PPP propaganda page, they decided to attack Dexter Tad. You know, Jack Joe, they say that he's an ordinary liar or something. So they attack Dexter Tad. And let me say this. See, I'm getting about thing just now. Because this thing, when I saw this thing, I said, we got to adjust this program and I got to address it. Because hold on, let me pull up here. I mean, this is vile and disgusting for them to come on social media. That is what they do. That is what they do. This live in Guyana, Sheriff News, Newsroom, DPI, Department of Public Information, Chronicle, Guyana Times, that is all they do. Attack people and attack people's credibility. And they don't have credibility to go on your pinky finger, your thumbnail and your pinky finger. That is what they do, right? So they get a percentage. And you know, these are the same people. These are the same people that talk about poor people who are taking poor people money to pay the Jamaican lawyers $62,000 a month. 62,000 plus US dollars a month in the extradition case. More than that, they're paying airfare, they're paying hotel accommodation, they're paying everything. 62, and here this, folks, in case you all don't recognize it, the way how this matter is going, because I think they start pay from October, November they're gonna get paid, and this likely to run for months. So it's 62,000 US a month they're paying out of our money. And they can call a man get 30% of the damages awarded, so they hustle and they're calling you out. Let me tell you this thing, right? Let me say this also. Government paying in recent times, this PPP government, right? PPP government, a whole set of special prosecutors and all this everything. Whole set, millions and millions of dollars to special prosecutors, not only with the Mohammed case, but many of the cases going around. That is what they do. They spend a lot of money and they get the guts. They get the temerity for come and talk out the thing, right? They got special prosecutors all the way. And let me say this too. Check it. All the special prosecutors that they have retained, I ain't talking about the Jamaicans, all the local lawyers who have retained as special prosecutors are closely affiliated and associated with them. And they're paying them millions and millions of dollars. Enough of the cases they're paying them to prosecute, they're losing. Look at the case, recent case with Azuddin Mohammed, with the Lamborghini, where Justice Gino Prasad ruled. They had about 10 lawyers. About 10 lawyers the state had. They're going to say it's GRA. The GRA had about 10 lawyers fighting the case. And then this life in Guyana, which is alleged to be controlled by this pedophile, this convict, right? They can come and they can talk all sort of crap. And let me tell you about the next one. Before bringing CC. The same government, PPP government. Well, they're going to say it's a new government from last month or whatever. But we're talking about PPP. When the police service commission that I chaired had this matter against Karimbash, we wanted to retain a lawyer to represent the commission, right? And therefore, they say that they are not budgeted for that. And therefore, we have to write to the Ministry of Finance. We did all of that. And then the Ministry of Finance said they ain't got no money to give. They said that the Attorney General's chambers would usually represent the commission, and we should stick to that. Even though the Attorney General chambers had withdrawn representation, citing a case from the CCJ which says that the Attorney General chambers cannot represent constitutional and other similar bodies. They started to pull out, and they said that you can't go back. So we were basically unrepresented. Luckily, well, the lawyer at the commission, the in-house lawyer, brilliant young lady, she put up the defense and so on. And we won, of course. We won. When the matter came up now, remember they couldn't find money to give the police service commission that I chaired. But when the issue later on came up with the challenge to the this issue that Brutus brought, and the challenge, they employed special prosecutor, a lawyer to represent it. They found money. They found money then to retain counsel. They found money to retain the King's Counsel to represent the interests of the police service commission. You think they're ordinary wicked? But I tell them I got good memory and I got good documentation to refresh my memory. That is what they do when they come in and call out some previous arrangement that the estate would have had with the lawyer for whatever percentage. And you can remember, it's never guaranteed that first you're going to win the case, even though you might be confident. And then you never know how much you are going to be awarded, how much damages are going to be awarded. So it's an arrangement you sign up for, not knowing if you're going to get anything at all. Because if the case is dismissed, then you ain't going to forget. But if you win, then you get whatever percentage is there. But it's wicked and wicked. That same big lip one. Let me bring in CC. CC, I'm sure you want to have a say on this whole this wicked set of people.
First, I hold no brief for Dexter Todd. I know him well since he was a constable in the Guyana police force. Very ambitious, very bright lawyer. And then we got to look at it, that there had to be some agreement between the lawyer and his clients. Hey, if we win, this is how it's going to split up. If we lose, well, nobody can get anything. And nobody doing anything free now, No. All of this about pro bono. Nobody doing anything free now. The lawyer has got to live. He's got to do research. He's got to expend all sort of money on this case. So I don't know the arrangements that they are there. And then when you look on the other side, the government, they're spending a whole set of money on lawyers, on King's councils, on Queen's councils from Trinidad. And now they jump to Jamaica now. And the King's councils and others fighting the Mohammed case, that they're finding money conveniently, and then they pay how much, I think 50,000 every month to some lobbyist firm in the United States of America. Endless money is being spent. I don't know if the 60-something thousand US that they're paying, if it's on a monthly basis. I don't know. I know for sure they said that was for that month, October, but I don't know if it continue to November to December, or whenever, because the case is going to drag along. I think that case is going to find himself till to CCJ. So I don't know if it's just a blunt thing that 60-something thousand US every month. It could knowing them, it could be far higher than that. So it's a lot of hypocrisy thing there. And then they're fighting cases that finish at no case submission, They know for sure they won't get any case, but yet still they're spending money, And perhaps they get good reason because spending, because perhaps other people would have a cut on it.
Yeah. Again, as I said, it is being reported that the 62,000 plus is per month. I find it difficult to see that any lawyer or group of lawyers, not knowing how long the case is going to run, then decide on a flat fee up front. So I don't know. Again, because there's no transparency, they are not going to say what is the contract or the contractual arrangement between themselves and the Jamaican people. They're going to tell you about privacy and all sort of thing they're going to tell you. But they're going to tell you what it is. They're not going to say what it is. Now, let me move on. Let me move on. Last week, I think it was, we had this parking issue. You know, the Cutlass pastor, or the people say the Cutlass pastor, who decide that the area in front of this church in Charlotte Street there, the old Strand building, is private property. That is what the man said, private property. Well, they knock you off. They're not going to forgiveness there. They knock you off. Well, you know, I look at this. This what you're seeing here, this only area, if you know tongue, Munishwar Employees Parking Lot. I know where this is. This is a parking lot. That little parking lot used to be outside Guyana stores where the police outpost was. This is now converted into a private parking lot. Munishwar's parking lot with big sign. I passed there the other day, and the first thing I think I observed, there was no longer the police outpost there. That was one of the first mobile outposts put down there since Larry Lewis days, right? So they move it now, and they have converted that to a private parking lot. I want to know who gave them the authority to do that. Is it the mayor and city council? And if it is the mayor and city council, do they have the legal authority to give public property to a company for private parking? I would like to see somebody who is not an employee go there and park and what they're going to do. I would love to see that. But that is what you have. So you let down the Brazilian pastor, rightly so, because he convert the part in front of the church, and he said it's private property. And then he had some women who sung like Guyanese joining me. Private property. So that's what you have. And now it turned on, they look at this one. I think this was taken this morning. You know, this is where? This is in East Street, East and Middle Street. Again, those of you who know GT, you had District North used to have a property somewhere in this area. This is a Chinese business now. So you have, this is East Street running from north to south. You have Middle Street there running east to west. This building here, you get the pharmacy at the bottom. Little Bong here, you get the juice place. And then over this side, you get Dr. Balwan Singh Hospital. So this supermarket decide that they too, this is private parking. So they put cones out there. They put cones. What happened, Mayor and City Council? Is only the Brazilian people you all who are going after? What happened with these things? What happened? What happened? I know sometimes they resolve those things to me. Because when I do wrong and I drive in and I see them thing, I just gonna need a spark. When they tell me say it's a private parking or reserve park, I say, yeah, it reserved for me. Yeah, Winston, I remember you raising the same issue about 3 weeks ago. I remember listening to your program and you raised this issue about this Munishwar employees private parking lot. Munishwar's employee private public space, public space has been converted to a private parking lot. These things have to be challenged. These things have to be challenged. And then again, I said, look, Chinese place, the Chinese business here, they put up cone. And this was taken this morning, I understand. This was taken this morning. They put up cone, preventing people from parking on what is public parapet. Public parapet. That is what is going on. And it's not them alone, Go down Regent Street. Go down Raab Street. Drive around town, you can see what's going on. They have businesses and decide that the place in front of this, the public space in front where their business is established is private arrangement. Private. They're talking no parking. Parking for customer. Reserve parking. All them crap on public road. That is what is going on. All those things on public road. It is illegal. Let's understand it clearly. It is illegal because even the city council can't give them permission to reserve this area. The police can't give them permission to reserve the area. It's the taxpayers. And that is what people got to understand. Let me bring in CC for him to obviously on that. So I thought it's important, CC, to follow up because we had a big uberloo over the cutlass wheeling Brazilian pasta, but look what's going on still around the place.
Well, maybe animal farm in place. And I passed by the Chinese place this midday, and I saw exactly those cones there. And Munishwar, the same thing, you know. Who giving them permission? And if you get permission, it is illegal. Put a bloody stop to it. Let there be some proper order, proper system we put in place there. But it's early stage. I hope that the situation outside that church there, where they had the cutlass pastor there, I hope that will bring about change. Use that to bring about change around the city and put things in proper order.
Yeah, because one can imagine now with the Christmas season coming up, and all of these people now decide that parking is reserved for the owners of the business, the customer, or somebody else. It's for the chaos, and I'm urging the police to put a hand on it because, as I said when I was traffic chief, I used to have those things removed. All those illegal signs, I used to cause them to be removed. The only exception that I should really make when it comes to that is like the embassies for security reasons, the embassies and the high commissions. Only exception. Even the ministries shouldn't have that type of arrangement. Arrange for your vehicles to park off the road. Arrange for that to happen. Now let me move on. Another scandal in Guyana. Guyana is who is this man? Hold on, man. Somebody called me and bunks me off there. Guyana is a scandalous place, Every so often, so frequently, you have scandals. This is a new one. Let me play this tape for y'all. And then once I finish playing the tape, we're going to discuss it at the end of the tape. Let me find it. Let me find this video. Here we go.
Canadian authorities appear to be closing in on what may be a massive transnational luxury car duty evasion ring with roots in Guyana, following the discovery of explosive audio recordings believed to feature a prominent Guyanese car dealer giving detailed instructions on how to illegally alter vehicles before shipment to Guyana. According to sources close to the investigation, the recordings capture a Guyanese high-end auto importer in talks on how to retag or revin luxury vehicles before they are sent to Georgetown.
So I would have to tell you, okay, what to ship the vehicle as. Remember, you retagging the vehicle, so I can just tell you, okay, what to ship the vehicle as. I can get all of these vehicles sold. What is this guy named Lee? Lee. So all the vehicles I want Lee them sent to Guyana, all I clear, all I dealt with. All the vehicles were answers and previously I cleared and dealt with. Who else I used to get vehicles by?
Retagging, investigators say, is the illegal practice of altering a vehicle's VIN or engine classification to disguise it as a lower engine model. This deception allows importers to evade billions of dollars in taxes and duties, depriving the Guyanese state of significant revenue while flooding the streets with high-end cars at suspiciously low import values. The Guyanese importer also reveals bold claims of corruption. In an audio file obtained by Nightly News, the Guyanese importer speaks confidently and without hesitation, bragging that he has customs on lock in Guyana and that nobody checks anything. He repeatedly assures the exporter that paperwork is irrelevant, customs inspections are non-issues, and that shipments would be smooth because he allegedly has key connections in place.
Yeah, I got people here the control and I got the entire Guyana good. You have no issues in Guyana. These ports, once you can give me good prices at the port, once it doesn't matter if Guyana don't have market for port, it doesn't matter what kind of vehicle it is. Honestly, it can be a Chinese vehicle now. Once the price is right, anything would sell.
At one point in the recording, the auto dealer claims he already has 2 duty-free arrangements lined up for expensive vehicles he wants sent, an apparent reference to fraudulent access to duty exemptions intended for legitimate beneficiaries.
I could tell you, okay, what to retag the Ford as and what to ship it as. And then we can take it from there. The range, I can sell the range fast for you in Guyana. Fast. Either retag that range and send it as a 2-liter. You know, the Range Rover Sports come 2-liter, you retag it and you sell it as a 2-liter. So when they punch in the VIN here, a 2-liter engine come up. Or you can sell it as a Villar, or you can sell it as a Range Rover Evoque. It doesn't matter. Once it's Range Rover, you can sell it to anyone. Don't worry, customs checking our vehicles and them. I can do all of that.
In one of the more telling portions of the recording, the man declared he does not do business in the United States, saying he doesn't like to mess with the US. Instead, he boasts that he feels safe operating through Canada and the Caribbean. A detailed Canadian investigators reportedly found significant given the country's increasingly strict vehicle export monitoring systems. The recording could expose what law enforcement officials suspect is a long-running, well-coordinated luxury car smuggling and duty evasion network, potentially involving both local and overseas players. Such a scheme could help explain the surge of ultra-luxury vehicles entering Guyana under questionable declarations, often listed with improbably low values or reduced engine capacities. Travis Chase, HGP Nightly News.
Another scandal. Another scandal. Let me say this. Now that this has been exposed, I hope they go after the people with the same type of speed that they went after Azudin with the Lamborghini case. So I'm calling on the president, the vice president, the attorney general, the commissioner of police, and all others to give this matter the same attention that you all give the Lamborghini case. Anyhow, I'm not holding my breath, right? Because this government seems to have outsourced the prosecution of the investigation and the prosecution of certain matters. For example, with the alleged gold smuggling, they outsource them to the U.S. They outsource it to the U.S. So they might now outsource this to the Canadians and get the hands off. But chances are, we suspect that these people who are involved in these schemes are people who are financing the PPP. So there's going to be no enthusiasm to go after them. You're going to hear all sorts of things they're going to put up. All sorts of things they're going to put up. Because they are not the Mohammeds. They are not the Mohammeds. You know, long we heard about them thing with vehicles. Long, they must get duty-free. Don't lock down 2 duty-free concession for bringing 2 vehicles. Don't lock down. Big run-ins going on. Big run-ins. And what are they waiting for? For example, in the sanction against the Mohammeds, and in the indictment against the Mohammeds, it was revealed in the indictment that these alleged offenses were committed along with persons known. In other words, they know the persons. That's what they persons known and unknown. What have they done to investigate or to deal with the known persons? In other words, when you say known, you mean they know the name and so on. What have they done? Maybe they have outsourced that to the US. Remember, Nandalal tell me about almost a month now. We're going on to almost a month now. Remember, Nandalal tell me this?
I am told that during the course of next week, we will get some more extradition requests. Perhaps Mohammed will feel a little better when that is made public. And we will make that public once we receive them, the same way that we have made the Mohammed extradition request public.
So are we to believe then, Mr. Attorney General, that you have not received this thing also come next week since how many weeks ago? Are we to believe that you have not received it? Or that it is received, but the names, the persons who are involved are so well connected, and it's supposed to open a can of worms, like it open a can of worms. So y'all pursuing that. You're not pursuing that. Look, let me say this. From since the first matter with the Mohammeds, with the sanction, given what OFAC said in the sanction, they named May Thomas, and they said other government officials. That was sufficient for you to start a proper investigation. But what did you do? You moved May Thomas from the Ministry of Home Affairs to the Ministry of Labor. Then what happened? You make sure she was elected, you say, on the central executive at the PPP. Right? Maybe that's the right place. Birds of a feather, they flock together. Nothing. So wait, you're waiting on the US to deal with that too? By now, you ought to have investigated to find out who are the other known government officials as revealed in the sanction. But nothing. Now, this one, come out a couple of days ago about the big vehicle smuggling, the changing VIN number, the rolling back odometer, mileage, all kind of thing happening. And I just sitting back there. And I guess, as I've said, you outsource this one now, I guess, to Canada. So unless the Canadians take action, we in Guyana are not going to take action. Sad. It is sad. And that's what we say is all about criminality. For friends, covering for friends, family, and favorite. Remember, GSK Lal said, gang of gangsters. That is what we call the government. So we ain't got government, we have a gang of gangsters posing as leaders and people running the government. That is what you have. So let's wait to see what action they will take with this new scandal. Another scandal. Let me bring in CC. CC, another scandal, my brother. Another scandal.
Yeah. It's been in the air for a long time now, But I won't be surprised if they say it's a Canadian problem or if it's a US problem. And I see that they fiddling or it want tamper with the VIN. I gotta be careful. I remember when Timothy McVeigh blew up Oklahoma City that killed 168 persons using a vehicle, certain vehicle. They were able to identify the vehicle without the destruction by the VIN. So let it be careful. And the thing is that instead of the build capacity, investigative capacity, they are outsourcing. They're outsourcing. You know, I wonder who really is going to investigate. And don't tell me Suku going to investigate. Because the matter, even they charge anybody, it will finish at no case submission. And I wouldn't be surprised if it the one you hear nothing more about it. They that they're going to say, hey, this man is so closely connected to us. And then again, according to the person there, he get two duty-free concession. I wonder how he get duty-free concession. On what circumstances he get duty-free concession. But I won't be surprised if no real proper investigation is done in relation to this matter. They're going to say it's a Canadian problem and it's the American problem. Full stop.
Yeah. No, I got a matter. I'm looking for the notes here. Um, they got this thing here. On Wednesday last, they had this meeting. The police, Ministry of Home Affairs, had a meeting with the drivers and owners of trucks, lorries, where they call them in. They had a big meeting there, and I had seen a post where they were inviting persons to the meeting. But then I saw on Wednesday that I think it was, well, not think, I know it was Leroy Smith complaining that they haven't invited the media to cover this interaction they're having with drivers, truck drivers, and owners. Leroy Smith, who does support the police a lot, he called them out for that. Then it was yesterday, there's this article in Stabrook News. I'm going to read the whole thing, but I'm going to read the other part, which says that truckers were yesterday told by the police at a consultation that they had been involved in 40% of the fatal accidents this year, and an 80 kilometer per hour speed limit will be legislated for heavy-duty trucks and weight restrictions enforced. According to a police press release, the truckers were told that once the consultation process has been completed, the Ministry of Legal Affairs will draft the relevant bill to provide full legal authority for the nationwide installation and enforcement of speed governors. The legislation is expected to outline clear penalties for tampering with, bypassing, or removing the devices, as well as consequences for operating a vehicle without a certified and functioning governor. Those provisions will form part of a wider legal framework to ensure full compliance and strengthen national road safety. During the engagement, several key areas were ventilated, including the importance of regulating the speed of heavy-duty trucks and the risk associated with their size, weight, and extended braking distance. Discussions also focused on the features and operation of the new speed limiting device, including how it automatically prevents truck from exceeding 80 kilometers an hour, as well as the enforcement and compliance framework that will accompany its rollout. Then they go on to say the commissioner said, the release said the commissioner of police, Clifton Aiken, emphasized that the engagement was not intended to punish or burden the trucking industry, but to protect lives on Guyana's roads. He noted that traffic statistics show that approximately 40% of fatal accidents this year involved trucks, a figure he described as deeply troubling. Now he goes on here and he says, he can also highlighted that trucks traveling in excessive speed pose an extreme danger due to their limited stopping distances, reduced maneuverability, and the severity of impact when collisions occur. He also encouraged truck owners and senior operators to brief their drivers before dispatching them to work each day, ensuring they understand the importance of road safety adherence to traffic rules, observance of road signs, and compliance with regulation. Then he said he noted that maintaining proper load weight is essential for braking efficiency and the preservation of Guyana's road network. Then they said the media was not allowed into the forum, but Stabrook News spoke to some of the drivers following the consultation. Now they say a lot of them. They said a lot. Let me bring in CC while I look for the note, because I made some note. I did some research and I made some note which I want to talk about. You see, what this new initiative, if you can call it that.
Well, I wouldn't even call it initiative. I call it total nonsense. And tell me how they come to the conclusion or come to the decision about 80 kilometers. How they come to that? And when you look at the truck, fully loaded, a truck fully loaded, and getting at 80 kilometers, you know. And then I hear that they're going to draft in the new bill. So it's an indication that we can get parliament shortly. It's an indication that we can get Mohammed as the leader of the opposition. All they're doing is just jumping about the place, knee-jerk reaction, And who is this, what study did they do to come to the conclusion that speeding was one of the main causes of the accidents for the trucks? They need to do proper disaggregation if you want to deal with the trucks. Proper and deeper disaggregation. How them people get their driver license? A little 19-year-old get a truck license and that kind of thing. So many things you need to look at and just say put it in a governor. Put it in a governor. Let governor. That can't work. Knee-jerk reaction. Do a proper analysis and then come up with solution. Yeah, you call them and say, hey, brief your people them before they go on duty and all. And all those things are nonsense. They can't think there. And where is the enforcement part of it? Where is the enforcement part of it? So so many things are blurred that in around, and I need them to tell me how you come to 80 kilometers. Tell me how you come to 80. And then when they're fully loaded with stone and sand and whatever, how will they operate mechanically? And then we said they're going to drop the bill. So perhaps we can get Parliament shortly, Paul, and we can get as the dean, as the leader of the opposition. If we fall in, perhaps they remove it breakneck speed to get Parliament going.
Yeah. I just step out there and I saw, again, it's sad. And let me pray for these children. It's breaking news there about 50 minutes ago. A bus transporting students home after the Inter-School Athletics Championship in Region 6 reportedly toppled at number 63, Village under Quarantine. The news desk was informed that several students were rushed to the number 75 regional hospital for medical attention. And they have a photograph there with the bus, a lot of blood, what's supposed to be blood on the road. Let me pray and hope for those children. But let me come back to this this governor. Now, first of all, in case you don't know, the governor is a device that is going to be installed in the vehicle, that can be installed in vehicles to prevent it from going above a certain speed. In this case, the government is making a decision, is contemplating laws to make sure that trucks do not travel above 80 kilometers. Now, I have a problem with that, as CC asks, how they arrive at that. Bearing in mind that the maximum speed limit on most of the roads along the coast in Guyana, East Coast, East Bank, West Coast, Essequibo Coast, Quarantine, is 80 kilometers. That is the maximum speed limit. Outside of the Linden-Suzac Highway, where the maximum speed limit is 100 kilometers, it's 80 and less. It's 80 and less. So I don't know what they are, how they can come out with this. Yeah, somebody tell us CDL, we can deal with that too, right? And I said this is another example of a knee-jerk approach to this lawlessness. Another example, just knee-jerk approach. These things are not clearly thought out. The maximum speed is 80 kilometers. So what happens then when a man, you're telling me that a truck is laden with whatever weight it has and traveling at 60 kilometers and can be dangerous? You're telling me that if you are allowing up to 80 kilometers an hour, that's what the governor gonna do. And they're in a zone that is 50, because there are zones that are 50 near to schools, or 65 on some places on the East Coast and the East Bank. So you're saying that they can drive up to 80? This thing is not carefully thought out. Not carefully, because as we have said repeatedly, speed is not the only issue. And one of the, let me read this thing, another part, where one of the drivers, speaking to Starbuck News, made the point that, hold on, let me find it. I highlighted it. They say another concern raised was the growing number of young and inexperienced drivers operating trucks. Some owners said this issue must be taken seriously, adding that some drivers are not trained to handle heavy-duty vehicles. They said stricter penalties should be introduced and license should be revoked if necessary. They believe proper driver training would protect truck owners, road users, and the wider public. And let me go straight into another article that I read not so long ago, and just read a part. Minister Waldron halts waiver for young truck drivers. Listen to this. Minister Waldron, that's the new Minister of Home Affairs, halts waiver for young truck drivers. And then they say, Minister of Home Affairs, Onik Waldron, has announced a clampdown on the issuance of waivers that once allowed inexperienced young drivers to operate heavy-duty trucks, saying the practice will no longer be permitted without the requisite years of driving experience and proper training. During an interview with the Starting Point podcast, Minister Waldron said she became concerned after noticing a surge in requests from young people seeking to bypass the legal requirements of 2 to 5 years of driving experience before qualifying for a motor lorry license. Quote, when I took on this portfolio, that is the portfolio of the Minister of Home Affairs, I realized that there were too many applications for waiver from very young people for the requirement for a 2 to 5 years requirement to drive a motor lorry. End of quote, the minister said. Quote again, I believe what was happening is that too many young people were allowed to drive these huge canters, canters and big vehicles without requisite training. She acknowledged that the situation likely arose during the height of Guyana's construction boom, when there was a shortage of truck drivers and the demand for manpower was high. However, she emphasized that safety must now take priority. Hear what really happened, man. These are the type of things they must analyze. It is reported that during the tenure of Minister of Home Affairs, Robeson, Shoot, and Scoot Ben, the government, because he represented the government, implemented a policy where they waived the years of experience and requirement to allow for relatively young drivers to drive lorries and trucks. That is in the cited, so we talk about New York. So the government had a policy. The government had or perhaps still have a policy that if you below the age, below you're young, because in Guyana you could start driving at 16, right? And then they say you have to get 2 to 5 years. Now, why is 2 to 5 years experience? And this experience what they're talking about is basically being in possession of a license. So if you got a license to drive a car at, let's say, 17, how you can get license at them age. They were looking that once you get it for 2 to 5 years, that your experience, what experience you have in driving a truck. And then they talk about training. There is absolutely no training for people driving trucks. If I'm wrong, let them come and contradict me. They got a lot of resources. DPI, they get Live in Guyana, they get newsroom, they get Guyana Times, Guyana Chronicle, all of them. Let them come and contradict Paul Slow this afternoon. Not the program. Let them come and contradict me and let them tell us what is the training for drivers of trucks and all drivers for that matter. Because we raised the issue here before, there's no legislation dealing with driving school and all them type of thing. So anybody can go and establish a driving school and you're teaching people to drive. No standards, and those are the things they should be looking at. They're not looking at. And we have said before that if you really want to know what is the problem, including the problems relating to truck, when there is an accident, don't just investigate what caused the collision. Go further. How old is the driver? When and how did he acquire a license to drive a truck or a car or ride a motorcycle? Go to that, do that. And that is likely to tell you a picture. But don't come and tell me 40% increase. Maybe the whole 40% is them people who want to get license at them age who didn't go through this no type of years of experience, as they say. There is nothing, it's a Wild West. A Wild West. And what happened? As they're saying, the minister you have to always polish this thing with little propaganda. During the boom, during the construction boom, right? It is, I understand, it's a situation likely arose during the height of the construction boom, when there was a shortage of truck drivers and the demand for manpower was high. That is what they're telling us. So this brilliant government, and note the sarcasm, this brilliant government decided what they're gonna do. We're gonna waive that requirement. So you ain't gonna get a driver's license for 2 to 5 years. You get them for 1 year, you get them for 2 years, whatever, and maybe you come with Jackie Opel and you're gonna get your license to drive truck. And therefore they're on the road killing people. They're on the road killing people. They can't dispute that because they have not given the type of disaggregation to tell us. They have not done the type of analysis to tell us who are the persons involved in these accidents. By age, by full disaggregation. What is the age? How long did they acquire the license? What training did they go through to acquire the license? Did they pay to acquire the license? Was it one of these people who the ministry or the minister waived, the government waived to allow them to get a license in a short space of time? Tell us, man, tell us. That is likely to give us a better picture. And as we have said before, unless you understand these things, you're not going to be able to implement proper solutions. You're not going to be able, but you're going to put in governor, 80 kilometers. Even the bridge, this new bridge, what they call in Jackdale Bridge, I was shocked when I saw that the speed limit on this bridge is 80 kilometers. The second highest speed limit in the country. That is what the bridge is. So last week, early this week, you had a big smash up there. Who was surprised? Who was surprised? You have a lawless, indisciplined driving public, generally speaking. And the measures, you will tell trucks you're going to limit them to 80 kilometers. So it's what they used to go at, brother. Because I could tell you, I drive along the East Coast a lot, East Coast of Demerara, and the maximum speed limit in some areas is 80 kilometers an hour. And I hardly drive at 80 kilometers. I drive way below that, 60 perhaps, 65. And of course, yeah, them trucks just zip past you, zoop, zoop, right? Zoop. And the next thing, as they alluded to, a truck, an unladen truck, driving at 80 kilometers an hour cannot present the same challenges as a truck laden with tons and tons of sand and loam and stone. When you get them weight in the vehicle, all the operating dynamics have a change. And then the commissioner talks here about something of braking. Let me see what you write, man. What you see, you write? Excessive speed poses extreme danger due to the limited stopping distance. It's not no stopping distance, Commissioner. It's not no stopping, it's braking distance. Not stopping distance. Because stopping is ordinary. What is of concern is normally the braking distance. And we used to teach that at traffic headquarters. Braking distance, meaning from the time you mash the brakes, as you would say, what distance and it will travel, the vehicle will travel before it comes to a stop. And that is dependent on so many things. It is depending on the speed you're going at, the weight and size of the vehicle, the surface of the road, the reaction of the driver. It's a whole set of things that is dependent on. So you come in and talk about stopping. This is not stopping. It's not excessive speed. It's not stopping distance. It is braking distance, which is totally different to stopping distance. The braking distance is measured from the time you apply brakes, how long it takes, how far the vehicle will travel before it comes to a stop. That is what you call braking distance. And that is dependent on many, many, many factors. And the braking distance of a truck that is unladen and the braking distance of a truck that has a load, totally different. There's physics. I mean, I know doctor, I know scientist, but common sense is physics, right? It is physics. So I don't understand what they're saying. Have they considered all them things? You telling a truck, given what's going on in Guyana there, you telling a truck that it can't drive over 80 kilometers an hour? That is too high a speed for any truck, especially if it's laden. Because in most parts, except when you're on highway, that's the maximum speed already established by law, because the signs are there, and those speed limit signs has the effect of law. Because if you run it, if you go faster than that, charge you for exceeding the speed limit. Let me bring in CC to get a little bit in about the law. I gotta bring you in. I gotta come back on this issue. CC, I almost forget you, man. I get involved in this traffic thing. Go ahead.
No, you raise pertinent questions there, and I wonder why this big emphasis on trucks. Are those the only vehicles or road users involved in accidents? What about the other categories of vehicles on the road? Huh? Heavy concentration on trucks. I wonder why. We said over and over again that it must be a holistic approach. A holistic approach. But you're concentrating on the trucks and you're talking about governor, and then you what really is happening? They're not doing a proper analysis, and they don't have a proper plan really to deal with the accidents on the road. And you may ask which areas that the trucks are involved in accidents. Is it on the highway? Is it on the East Coast? Is it on the West Demerara? By long to the thing that then they're not doing proper disaggregation. They're up on trucks, and other categories are involved in accidents. I don't know how they really solve the situation. And you get a traffic chief there, we can't let you out, You there. And instead of you go up on the mainstream radio, you up on Radio Eve Leary. Who listen to Radio Eve Leary? Who know about Radio Eve Leary? You up on Radio Eve Leary, talking a whole bundle of crap. Unless they sit down and do a proper analysis and come up with a proper plan, the situation with the traffic is going to get worse. Or as we used to say when we were going to school, it's going to be worse or worse.
Yeah, you gotta get worse because obviously, as I said, these people don't know where they're going on. Some people talk about somebody, just talk about the 5 C's. Them 5 C including corruption, confusion, congestion. That is what they include all that. So maybe now it's 8, right? That is what is happening. But I say again, these people are not they're out of touch with what is going on. They don't have I am convinced now that those who are sitting down to discuss these matters, like Ikin, Watford operations, traffic chief, and them, this thing is above their intellectual capacity. They need to call in people who get more common sense and who get more experience. Because you have one of the main things that they talk about there is training. In the United States and all those places, to drive a truck, you have to get a commercial driver's license. You have to go through special training to get a commercial driver's license. You have to subject yourself to random check for drugs and all of those things. Your health got to be tip-top. They check you all the time. You can't drive for more than a certain amount of hours and all them type of things. That are the type of thing you got to look at. How long the drivers have been driving when they get into these accidents? What is the condition of the road? What is the experience of the driver? All of those things you have to sit down. Maybe you have to employ people. You have to get the money, man. You have to employ people. And when you employ people to do the proper analysis, then you might be able to identify proper solutions. I said before, when I was traffic chief, the government, the same PPP, they brought in a Dr. Budu. He was based somewhere in the US. I can't remember exactly where. And we had lots of interaction. And he did the survey. He did the analysis. And then he concluded the stretch of road by Better Hope side was the most dangerous stretch. And some interjections or some solutions were recommended. And those things were implemented. And within a short time thereafter, you saw a change. All that led to the widening of that road and all them type of thing then. But they're just coming off the top of the head and talk about all sort of things. And the thing is not carefully studied, not carefully analyzed. And if you don't do that, you can't come up with the right solution. Cannot. Because I maintain that the biggest problem that you have is the fact that the people who are driving these big trucks on the road, they don't have the proper training. And the drivers, one of the drivers alluded to that. There no proper training. There is no official training arrangement in Guyana for truck drivers. So no driver. No, I was at training. I'll talk about proper, especially when with these big vehicles, these big trucks, massive trucks coming into the place now. Massive trucks. They're talking about weight restrictions and all of that. Massive, massive trucks. And when you there along, whether it's the East Coast Road or the East Bank Road, you see all these things flying. It's frightening. It's frightening. And unless and until they bring in some professional people to sit down and analyze, they're going to continue to get this knee-jerk arrangement, which is not going to solve the problem. It is not going to solve the problem. They will continue. People are going to continue to die because you're talking about trucks, as we said this after the quarantine, a minibus turnover with school children. Minibus turnover. This morning, let me show you all this one. This morning on the East Coast, right? On the East Coast, and let me apologize for the language. You got some expletives being used in this tape that I'm about to show you. So if you are immune, if you are allergic to expletives, you might want to mute at this stage. The tape is what? Just over 2.5 minutes. Here we go.
Kill the fucking man now.
Oh my gosh!
Why you have to we can't get the fucking man or what you do?
Bernie, something, do something.
I help Granny there. Can't do nothing there, boy. She can't do nothing. Yeah. Serious accident in front of the driver. What? No man, no ask no pull by the car. Yeah man, non fucking man. Got me way body. Pay your life for me. Let me tell you ask pull by your life man. I so you should overtake, you take my overtake? Yeah, man, pull over the car. You kill everybody in this car, right? I get behind the socket. What? Yeah, man, one to this car, man, And we end up now. The truck man gonna save you, see that?
That's why the truck for me there. He didn't get me. Me don't overtake the fucking truck. Then where you go? I in the fucking truck. Here come the man try to put for safety, but the man should have stayed on the fucking road all in there.
Oh shucks. Why you see the scare man cars? Why what's fuck up this truck bike? Yeah? So you are gonna kill everybody in the car bike. First thing is all the truck man around, truck man this, truck man that. See the old bridge. Alright.
And I know there's again. I did apologize beforehand for the, but something you got to see to understand what's going on. I don't let me tell the police that when you investigating traffic, you were taught is COWS, cows. Now when you investigated, C stands for casualty. So when you go to the scene, you look for casualties. You got to treat people first. The O says that you must look for obstructions, so you clear obstructions. The W, in this case, witnesses. Witnesses, it seems to have been, they have had a lot of witnesses. And the S is for statement. So I always remember that, police. COWS, right? C, but it's a cow. You're talking about an animal crossing the road. Cows. The acronym COWS. You look for casualties. You look for obstructions. You look for witnesses. And then you get statement from the witnesses. I remember again, let me show you all this next shot and watch.
You see, different level of speed. I think we got drag racing and security. Man, clean out this whole rail. Huh? I'm not chilling the man house. This is a different level.
Man, clean off a rail and end up in a house, car. I know I saw a picture with him. He looked like he can't get injured or anything like that. The problem is a serious, serious problem. And until the authorities decide to address it in a real professional and comprehensive manner, we're not going to get the desired results. So this is one for the new Minister of Home Affairs. This is one for the new. As I said, one of the big C's, address the whole issue. I was pleased to see, or pleased to read, that the minister said that this thing about the waiver, should stop the waiver, where people did not have to reach the age limit requirement to get a truck license. She had to stop it. So during the previous the ministry, the reign of the previous minister, this thing was going on. To what extent this has contributed to all the lawlessness with the trucks? To what extent? Have they investigated that? To what extent? Now, folks, time has caught up with us. Let me bring in CC for his closing. And then I'm going to tell you, we had so much more to talk about. But unfortunately, time waits and no one. Go ahead, CC.
We had so much discussions on traffic, and we did hinted at the area that you get maybe people from overseas. You mentioned there's Dr. Boodoo or something, talk about the dangerous roads on East Coast. But we got to face reality and look at reality and deal with. I remember about a year and a half ago or even less, and then the stats. The reality was that the West Demerara region number 2 was the deadliest roads in this country. The stats showed that they had more fatal accidents than any other division. And you know what happened? What was the police reaction? The traffic chief across there, they made him the runner-up best cop. And they didn't stop there. Within months, the Illegal Police Service Commission promoted him from an assistant superintendent to a superintendent. So a man presiding over the deadliest roads in this country. You give him runner best cup, and then you reward him. You make him from an assistant superintendent to a superintendent. Perhaps what they're doing, they are rewarding people in the traffic department, and there's just maybe an isolated case with promotions, with awards, so this lawlessness on our roads will continue.
Well, thank you, my brother. Some of the students are advising that that tape that we showed first might not have been a recent tape. It might be something that happened not this morning or recently, might have happened before. If that's the case, it still shows the level of lawlessness that we have. But I apologize if I misled you into believing that maybe it occurred this morning. But somebody sent it to me, and whether it was now or whether it's some time ago, it happened in Guyana. And it's an indication of the craziness on the road. Now, people had asked me to comment on the European Union report and the president's response. Time has caught up with us. You can't deal with that now. But you bet, we ain't allowing that to go just like that. We're going to talk about it. We have all the other issues to talk about. We're telling you to keep looking at what is going on in the Caribbean Sea with the buildup of the forces from the U.S. around. They had exercises with the Trinidad military, live bombs being dropped in the ocean, the Caribbean Sea. Keep your eyes on what is going on there. Keep your eyes. There are lots of military assets just off Venezuela. And some people are speculating it's only a matter of time. Yesterday it was reported, I saw it on Al Jazeera, that there was a big, massive explosion in Venezuela at some fuel facility. And they claim that the fuel facility is one of the main supplies for the military vehicles in Venezuela. Look to see what is going on. Because if anything should break out on the land in Venezuela, we in Guyana can expect an influx, a larger influx of refugees, or whatever they want to call them, Venezuelans fleeing to Guyana. And I hope the government is preparing for such an eventuality. We are hoping that they're preparing for such an eventuality. Now, let me so we have that. They one of the things CC talks about cricket. Let me close with that. There's a more pleasant note. Last evening in Perth, Australia, which is, and Sean, Port is always known to be, for the longest while, the fastest wicket, bounciest wicket in the world. So I don't think anything wrong with the wicket based on what I saw. But I looked up to when England finished. They were routed for 172. And I said, well, time 1 o'clock this morning, I said, time to catch my rest. I don't want to be miserable. Or some people say, I don't want to be more miserable today. So when I got up this morning, I went to Cricinfo. And then I saw the score, 9 wickets. So 19 wickets fell on that first day. And this looked like another 3.5 to 4 days match. Because I anticipate that England is going to wrap up the innings of Australia. Then they will go back into bat. And Stark and them boys. And let me say this. The England under wicket lucky that the Australian bowlers, the Australian team is not at full bowling strength, right? If the captain was there and the other quick bowler exploiting the bunks under wicket and so on, they didn't make it 120 runs. That is my belief. They wouldn't have been able to make 120 runs, but they took advantage of Boland and them other and a lot of drives and so on. So let me see what can happen. But don't forget, tonight too is the third ODI, one day international, West Indies and New Zealand. Then we also have the second test between India and South Africa. And then we also have the test match between Bangladesh and Ireland. So a lot of cricket, man, is cricket in the air. Somebody said England winning this series. Let me see. I ain't too sure about that because once Pat Cummins, the captain, And who's the next guy? Hazelwood, just Hazelwood. Once they come back, he's account to the old office, is going to be a horse of a different color. So yes, the England definitely has the upper hand now. And they're hoping, I guess, to make sure you go one up in the series. But it ain't done, sir. Yeah, Shana, just tell them about that. It ain't done, sir. This is going to be the Ashes series in England or in Australia is always a ding-dong battle. Except for 2013, I think it was, when Australia beat them 5-0. When Australia beat England 5-0, it ain't done in sir, right? It's not going to done like that. So, for us cricketers, and let me tell you all this before I move on. I'm set up in such a way that I can see all the matches. There are going to be 4 matches. I can see all 4. I can look at one on my computer. I can look at one on my iPad. I can look at one on the TV. And I can look at one on my phone. I am set up that way. I am set up. So again, Abu Dhabi T10. That is not cricket. That 10-10 was supposed to come. That is not cricket. That is bat and ball. I don't waste my time over that. So, folks, we have had a long afternoon. I want to wish you a good weekend. Hope you have an enjoyable, relaxing weekend. And again, as I always do, I'm imploring you to be safe. To be safe. We have so many things. People drowned in, children, teenager, young adult drowned in. Accident. Again, I just saw the news about the vehicular turnover on the quarantine with those school children. Let's pray. Let's pray that none of them is seriously injured, because we see a lot of blood on the road. But let's pray for them. Let's pray for them. And until today is Friday, so we are scheduled to meet again on Monday. Until we meet Monday, after Monday, God's Spirit Life. Stay well. Stay well. Bye.